Hey Tyler, so we're here, I've moved over to the dark side, I'm in the pedal side, which is near somewhere I go, but Chase Bliss are here.
Yes.
And you're showing off some stuff, and I noticed you've got a trusty Casio tone plugged in, so what are we looking at that's new, guys?
Yeah, so we got a couple things that are relatively new. Ones that have come out in the last year are Onward here and Clean. So Onward came out around a year ago. This is a dynamic sampler with two different channels of effects. There's a free side and a glitch side. And then you've got all kinds of different like textural and kind of like errors and effect things that you can do from there. So what's really exciting about this pedal is every time it detects a new audio, it will resample. So there's my dry signal coming in. And if I turn the freeze on here, I'm freezing. I've just got everything going there. And every time I play...
Oh, that's interesting. So it'll freeze the last input.
Yeah, exactly.
That's nice.
And there's also an option on here, if let me make sure the right dip switch is on back here. Now, if I want to play on top of this freeze, I can latch it, and then I can... You can play on top of it without resampling. But it's most fun when you are resampling. So in this mode, every time it detects new audio, it samples.
It's a very clear... I mean, it's a sort of... It's quite a non-invasive freeze. It's not doing like a kind of shimmer, width, reverb thing. It's just literally holding the signal, right?
Yeah, exactly. But if you want to do that stuff, we do have those options. So we do actually have an octave where you can blend an upper octave in and get kind of like that shimmery sound. You can also blend a lower octave in and get kind of like that, you know, glummer sound. And then
glummer? I've not heard that. I like that. It's a new phrase.
And then you've got some kind of like the texture knob here. It can do two different types of kind of interesting textural things. On the right side, it does kind of like an analog style, like compression kind of distortion thing. You get some of that sound. And then on the left side, you get some like digital aliasing.
That's interesting. I mean, it sounds more like it would work well on synth sources, but I guess you've got a lot of history with guitar processing. That's okay, really.
Yeah. So it does kind of bring a lot of those like synth-based elements and like DJ-based elements into a really kind of like immediate and effect guitar effect. So if you know this section will look very familiar to synth players as well. So it's kind of like a ADSR type thing, but how it works is like with the sustain turned up all the way, the sample will go forever. But if I turn the sustain down, it will eventually fade out.
Right.
And
so
then,
you've got.
Eventually. There it goes. But it fades out very quickly because of where we have the fade set here. So this is a fast fade in and a fast fade out setting. So if I do a new sample coming in, it triggers immediately and then it fades out quickly. But there's also a slow fade where you can have it slowly fade in.
Right, interesting.
And then slowly fade out as well based on where the sustain is set. But I think the most immediate and fun way to do it is to have sustain turned up all the way and have the fade set to the fast setting. There's also a user setting in the middle where you can kind of set how quickly it does the fade in and out. But we have on the outsides of it just like quick, fast, and slow, basically. And so then the animate here also adds a little bit of like modulation. So right now there's no modulation on, but you can go over here, you can add some chorus.
Right, so that's adding some time-based stuff, right?
And then you can do a vibrato as well. And the rate of the vibrato is tied to the size knob, and the size is the size of the samples essentially. So that's just the free side. Oh, and then there's also the error knob over here. And how the error knob works is as you turn up the knob, it increases the chances of an error occurring. And we have three different types of errors. This one is speed and direction.
Oh, that's nice.
And then there's also timing and condition errors. So this is condition. It'll slowly kind of like, it'll bring in some like sample rate reduction and like degrade kind of sounds, yeah. And then there's timing, which adjusts like the size of the sample, so you can hear it getting like smaller and larger. You get these kind of interesting, effects where you're messing around with the timing of it. But it also can be used in conjunction. That's just one side of it. The other side is the glitch side here. So the glitch side is up to a 1 second size sample. And then all of the effects can also be applied to that. So you can do octave up, octave down. You can do the texture stuff. You can do the chorus. And then you can also introduce the errors. So everything works really well when you put it all together. So I'll just have like kind of do a little bit of everything here for you.
quite interesting. It's very unusual. I imagine passing that onwards into some form of time-based sort of reverb or delay would be really enjoyable.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I also really like to use it a lot with like drum machines because you can MIDI sync it, so you can have like the glitches be going in clock with like a drum machine. It's super nice. Fun. Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite ways to use it. But yeah, so it's a 2-channel effect, glitch and freeze.
I do believe this might actually have a rather cheesy rhythm on it. This keyboard. Is there any way we could try that? Just
let's check.
Rhythm select. Come on. I think you just do that and then okay. Let's try.
Pretty quiet. We can try and bump the accompaniment. Perfect. Yeah. So we don't have it MIDI synced, but I can tap tempo here. So if I tap both of these at the same time, it enters tap tempo mode, and then you can tap your tempo here, and then exit tap tempo mode.
Oh yeah.
And then you get some of those like speed and direction errors going on, so you get all these kind of weird, interesting elements going on.
Oh, that's interesting.
And these are definitely some more of the extreme settings. You can make it a little bit. So this is just the freeze and the glitch going on.
Sounds like Pong.
yeah. And then you can, of course, do the octave up and stuff.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Who knew Samba could go this far?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. The error where it sort of those little, almost like, almost like reverby.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's great.
Very interesting textural things, yeah.
So this is available now, right?
Yep, this is available now. We have them in stock. They're shipping out from our EU hub as well if you're in the EU or the UK. Everything is shipped with delivery duties paid if you're in the UK, so it shows up. You don't have to pay any extra fees. We make it really simple, really easy. Available now.
What does the Onward cost, roughly, in euros or whatever price you've got to hand?
It's €469.
Okay, right. So it's a premium pedal, but it sounds like it does an awful lot. And is it mono or stereo?
It is stereo.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can do mono in, you can do stereo out, you can do stereo in, stereo out. The error effects are all like in stereo.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And what was the other thing you were talking about? This is
Clean. So this is the new one that we have that just came out not too long ago. And it's a compressor that can kind of do a whole lot more. We call it like a creative compressor, just because it can do all of the kind of like standard compression things. But then we have all kinds of interesting options for like modulation, and we have like hard limiting. You can do compression all the way up to the point.
I'm guessing disco rhythm might really suit this.
I mean, I think so. Yeah.
So let's just rhythm select and disco. Come on, let's see it. Some live switch.
All right.
Oh yeah.
All right. So right now it's off, and let's see if it's. I've got it turned on here. Turn that sensitivity up.
Oh yeah, it's got a real. It sort of reminds me a bit like Valley People. That old kind of real.
Just gets that kind of like snappy character to it. I mean, it just really brings it alive. So then that's just like this is pretty light compression. You can see the aux switch or the aux LED here will indicate when compression is happening. So we're getting still into like higher ratios of compression, and everything past noon you're getting into like hard limiting.
Oh yeah.
And then as you turn it all the way up to here, you get like tube sag emulation.
That's probably also pretty good on a funky Strat, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Excuse my guitar reference.
No, yeah, that's great, yeah. And then the attack and release here is how quickly the compression grabs and how quickly it releases. So as you turn the attack down, you can see that the LED is not activating as quickly. And then you can also do a slower release, so the compression just grabs it for a little bit longer. And then we can get into some kind of the fun stuff now here. So there's an EQ knob as well that does like high pass, low pass. And then you can get into these interesting modulation modes over here. So this one over here is like a modulated.
Oh, yeah, nice. And that's really stereo as well. That's flopping all over the place.
And it was really cool if you can like slow this panning down a bit and you get all this kind of like interesting like panning situation happening, just bringing some movement and life to it. You can also modulate.
I'm hearing a lot of Tame Impala vibes on this.
Yeah, totally, yeah. So that's like the modulated mode, and then there's also the shifty mode, which shifts the EQ as you play.
Let's try some rock.
It's pretty fun.
Oh, I don't know. I'm feeling. I want to hear a bossa nova. Oops, sorry, I'm leaning on the keyboard. That's my terrible.
No worries. So yeah, I really like this kind of modulation mode. Where you get these almost fast, almost like ring mod type of.
Sort of chattering, isn't it?
Yeah. And then the other really cool fun thing about it is this physics control here. And what the physics control does is it messes with like the physical behavior of the compression. So in the middle, it's just like standard physics. On the left, you're getting kind of like subtle kind of like unstable movement to it. And then on the right, you get like really crumbly. You can see the light activating here to show that it's like doing this really kind of like crumbly, like degraded sort of compression. You can also do parallel compression as well by blending in the dry, so you can kind of have all these different options where you have something weird happening in the background, but at the same time you still have your signal kind of
coming through. This is obviously a stereo. Is it a stereo input on this one?
Yeah, stereo in, stereo out, but also you can do mono in, stereo out. Something I like to do a lot is just use old drum machines or something like this to bring a mono signal to life.
Yeah,
and spread it all out. Yeah. And then the last cool thing that's fun about it is well, there's a lot of other cool things that are fun about it, but the last thing that I like to demonstrate is there's a dip switch on the back here called Dusty Mode, and that turns the compressor into like an overdrive. So let me get this set up in a way.
Oh yeah.
It's not super extreme on the cassette tone. There we go. But it sounds really cool on guitar. Just kind of like an interesting way to do overdrive. It's a little bit different, a little bit interesting, and yeah, just something a little different, something fun.
Nice. That's great. And this is available now as well, is it, right?
Yep, same price. That's $469, available now. Yeah, we just came out with this one a few months ago. Yeah, and all the pedals are fully MIDI capable. Every parameter can be controlled with a CC message.
Okay, so there's a MIDI in, is there?
So so there's TRS on the side here. We do MIDI through TRS.
Okay, gotcha.
And we sell like a little MIDI box where you can convert 5-pin to TRS. So every parameter can be controlled with a CC message, and every pedal, or at least the standard ones here, can save and recall up to 122 presets as well. So you can just have tons and tons of options for presets. That
unusual number, 122.
Yeah, it was based on how much memory we originally had left on the chip.
So close to 128.
Yeah, and so Joel, the designer, was just like, I'm just going to max it out, do as many as I can, and it ended up being 122.
Okay, well that should be plenty.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Tyler, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, it was a pleasure. Thanks for coming by.